Edit. I understand my feelings about this news were unreasonable.
It's definitely a lot filming two in one shot. I'm already tired, but it's fine.
We rally. Some venues will allow you to do this and others will absolutely not. Oh, this one's juicy. Okay. It's just so elegant. I feel like it almost looks like you're creating a sun or something. It illuminates. Am I the asshole for telling my sister that I don't want to be her maid of honor 4 months before the wedding? Why? That's my only question. Welcome to Wedding Wednesday, the podcast that's about to spill all the tea on what it's like to plan a wedding from the bride's perspective and all the details no one talks about. I'm creating the podcast I need to keep me sane and feeling less alone as I plan my own wedding. We're diving deep into the hilarious, messy, and sometimes crazy world of wedding planning and wedding horror stories. Get ready to laugh, cry, and maybe feel a little less alone in this wedding planning madness. Hello, welcome back to Wedding Wednesday, episode 2. This episode, we're going to be talking about my personal wedding planning update. I'm going to share as well some really cool Pinterest finds that just like pins. So if you're on YouTube watching this, you'll be able to see the pictures of them because we're going to put them up. But really cool Pinterest finds that you could use as inspiration for the design of your own wedding. And then lastly, I'm going to read a few wedding horror stories that I found on Reddit just last week. So with that, let's dive into our show. All right, wedding planning update. We got engaged in July of 2024. We had our engagement party in September. And so right after the engagement party, we decided to move full force and start shopping for a venue. Now, we knew we wanted to get married in 2026. So because of that, we decided that we were going to try and find a venue within 2024 to try and lock in the rates of 2024 for 2026. Lo and behold, as you start shopping, you realize some venues will allow you to do this and others will absolutely not. They won't even let you lock in the pricing of the year before, so like 2025. A lot of them will have pricing for the year that you're going to get married, and that's what you're supposed to lock in. But in some cases, you can find a venue where they'll let you lock in the early pricing. So we knew what we wanted in terms of vision. We had an idea of what we wanted. We wanted something a little bit outdoorsy, a little elegant, but not overly expensive. Like, we know this is going to be a huge day for us in our relationship for the rest of our lives. However, there's only so much we want to spend on it. Like, we're not looking to be a royal wedding. So we were trying to find a really nice venue that had also good pricing for what they were offering. And that's how the search began. Month after month after month after month, probably a good 4 months of looking until we sat down. We couldn't find anything that we liked. There was one hotel that we liked. We were really hoping that we would go through with that one. And then we got their pricing back and it just didn't make sense for us. And so we kind of accepted low-key defeat and went back to the drawing board to decide, like, okay, what is it we really want in terms of criteria? Originally, one of my criteria was I didn't want to do my wedding somewhere where I had already been for a wedding. We're pretty young in our life. We've already been to like what feels like 1 billion weddings in the last few years. We're trying to do something different, like all the brides, right? We all want something different. After our what felt like never-ending search of trying to find something different, and we really couldn't, we went back to the drawing board and we said, you know what? There's this one venue. We've been to 2 weddings there. We really like it. The food's good. The ambiance is nice. It's very aesthetically pleasing. And their pricing was good. I had inquired about their pricing at the beginning of our wedding planning journey just to get an idea of what their pricing was. But we really didn't entertain it up until we had to go back to the drawing board because we couldn't find a venue we liked that was reasonably priced. So we said, let's just give it another shot. One of my friends gave me a little pep talk and she said, look, like we live in Montreal. We're not in France. Like, you're not going to find a chateau that's going to be that vibe here. You got to be a little bit realistic and you have to understand your criteria, what you really are must-haves and what are like nice to haves. So I deemed my criteria of I don't want it to be at a venue that I've already been to as a nice to have and scrapped it basically. we decided to go visit this venue, even though we had already been there, just to get a feel for the administration, like who's running it, who would be helping us with our wedding planning, all those things, right? What they really include in their packages, things like that. And we had a really good feeling. We visited. We really liked it. There are lots of options. We could do maybe the cocktail outside. Maybe we can keep it inside. There's a backup plan if it rains. We know the food's good. We've eaten there before. And their pricing made very good sense for what we were looking for. We really had some specific things in mind that we wanted for the food. So everybody would have a great evening and not feel as though there wasn't enough food or the food wasn't good, or we'd have to get a lot of outside vendors to supplement extra food. We're Middle Eastern, so we like to eat. We like abundance in food, and so that was one of our things that we were looking for that this venue offered. We sat down. We said to him, this was right before the holidays of 2024, so we sat down. We said, look, let's simmer. Let's put a soft hold on a date. And he goes, no problem. We shut down our office for 2 weeks for the holidays. And then as soon as we get back, we're calling all the brides who had soft holds and we're asking them whether or not they want to move forward. The bride and groom. I say the bride, but like really both of us made this decision, obviously. So I said, okay, great. We had about 3 more venues to go visit at this point. So we went ahead and we visited them, even though we knew in our minds we were probably going to go with this other venue we really liked. But we felt like we did our homework. So as the bride, if my only tip here with like, if you're starting to plan your wedding, you're starting to look for venues, my only tip for you here would be do your homework. Really go see as many venues as possible just to confirm whether or not you like or you don't like a venue. We feel as though we did our due diligence so much that we made an educated decision with signing the contract for this venue, and we both feel good about it as a result. We also asked our friends who had gotten married there whether or not they had a good experience. They all said yes. We looked at the Google reviews to make sure that the Google reviews were positive. They were. And so all the boxes were checked. The guy that we were speaking to, who was orchestrating the whole thing with the contract and all that stuff, he was really accommodating already. And so we just had a good feeling. We felt like we did our homework and we pulled the trigger, and that's what we did. And we just signed it yesterday. So that's the latest in terms of our wedding planning updates. Next steps will be to look at what are the next steps. So I don't know what I'm supposed to do next. We're not getting married at the venue. We're going to get married at a church. So maybe choosing the church is the next step, but I'm going to put together like a DIY, like do it yourself wedding planning template situation for myself. And then as I put that together, I'll update you guys on how that's working out for me, basically. That's wedding venue update or wedding planning update from me as the bride. A couple cool Pinterest finds that I freaked out over. I thought they were so cool and I wanted to share them with you because they're really good for small weddings. I don't think we'll be able to do this. Maybe. We'll see. I just think it's the coolest thing. And it's a design table thing. Maybe you've already seen it. I don't know. But when I was browsing Pinterest and I was like looking at like how you would set up a room with different types of tables, this sort of pin popped up where it's literally a huge round table, like a huge circle table, not like a little circle table of like 10 people. It's can fit like 50 people around this gigantic table. And it's just so elegant. I feel like it almost looks like you're creating a sun or something. It illuminates. You could put like lights under it or something. It's just so elegant, so chic, so unique that people don't do or have never seen at a wedding. And it could be easily done. Like I said, if you have a small wedding and you're maybe hosting it in a restaurant or in somebody's beautiful garden or at a smaller venue, I'm sure you could find a way to like create a huge round table. You might have to get a custom made. I don't know. Okay. This is just a cool pin I saw that I thought that I would share with any brides planning a wedding who might like this design as well. So just a huge round table. In tandem with that, I saw like in the same research session, another table setting that I really think is cool that I might explore doing. Like I said, we will see, but it's almost creating like a teardrop shape. a teardrop shape like this, with 2 tables, and it like surrounds, it could surround the dance floor, and you could do, it's like almost like just a row. The thing with this type of design is that logistically, if you have a lot of people at your wedding, you need to fit all those people at the tables, and it almost wastes like a couple tables because you can't fit as many people as you should be able to on those types of tables. But I think they're really beautiful and very aesthetically pleasing. Super cool design. I haven't seen anybody do this at a wedding, and you can really dress it up and decorate it. You know, you can fill the tables with loads of candles, loads of flowers, loads of whatever, anything your heart's desire. Yeah, so those are my cool Pinterest finds of the week. Let me know if you would be entertaining any of these designs for your wedding, or if it's an absolute no for you. Okay. Let's read a few Reddit horror stories that I stumbled upon last week that made me giggle a little bit. Here we go. Guests making wedding about themselves. Here we go again with the emotions, right? We are holding a pretty big budget wedding, 55K pounds plus, in a HCOL where most of our friends live. We went out of town. Oh my God. We went out of our way to throw an amazing party in a convenient location with top range entertainment, food, and design. A close friend of my FH decided not to attend because his partner, quote, can't be in the same room, end quote, as a person he once slept with. Sorry. These things make me laugh. Granted, the whole thing happened under dubious circumstances, but it was over 4 years ago and wasn't an issue until recently. The person he slept with is now married. The reason they are giving is that a few people that they realize know now, something that came to light a week ago. There is a close to 100 people attending, and this friend has known us for close to 8 years. Pretty much the whole time we've been together. I am pissed off, but there is nothing I can do. There's an edit here. It says, edit. I understand my feelings about this news were unreasonable. I appreciate the comments Redditors made to highlight that the guests are not making this about them, but just avoiding an awkward situation. I did not say anything to my guests except, okay, let me know if you change your mind. I posted this to vent about the situation. Some of the comments have come from me really harshly for assumptions they made about me. Perhaps the wrong sub for this kind of content. I'll be deleting this post in a week or so for mental health reasons. For those who were respectful and courteous, thank you for your perspective. I think that the situation with this thread, because I read the comments and I screenshotted this in case she did delete it, but a lot of the comments said, can you expand on dubious circumstances? What are those dubious circumstances? In any case, I mean, is it crazy for him or this friend to not attend because his partner can't be in the same room as the person he once slept with? I think that this person is respecting the boundaries of their partner, and that's probably a bigger priority for this person than their friend's wedding. Mind you, maybe the partner here, I don't know, maybe the partner here has a lot of trust issues. Maybe this guy's cheated before and that's why their partner, I keep saying guy, but I don't know who it is. Like, could be girl. That's why the partner doesn't want this person like going to their wedding. It is he. Yeah. So he, like, maybe his partner just doesn't trust him at the end of the day. And that's reasonable. But from the bride's perspective, I can get that that's frustrating when you've been friends with somebody for 8 years and they choose not to go to your wedding. At the end of the day, everybody's life is about them, right? I guess that's why it's hard to manage everybody's emotions when you're planning your own wedding, because you think it's about you, when really everybody makes everything about themselves, and that's kind of normal and I guess okay in this day and age and in these circumstances. Anyways, let us know your thoughts about this blurb here. Let me read you another one that made me chuckle as well. Oh, this one's juicy. Okay. Friend called me to tell me I wasn't invited to her wedding. First of all, who does that? But anyways, let's read the thread. A friend, 30 female, who at one point said I was her best friend, started sending me increasingly nasty texts out of the blue after she got engaged to her abusive fiance. I wasn't sure what was up with her, as we'd always had a pretty solid friendship. I started becoming increasingly anxious every time she texted me. Then one day, she says she has something to tell me and asked if we could talk on the phone. I assumed at this point that she was going to ask me to be a bridesmaid, so I was excited for this phone call. She then proceeds to tell me she finally planned her wedding. It's going to be a separate, as in 2 separate dates, wedding and reception, and the wedding is in 2 months. She says the wedding will be small. She's not clear on if I'm invited to the wedding or not, since it's in 2 months. I awkwardly ask if I'm invited. She says, no, we decided to just have 2 friends each. Sarah and Elizabeth will be mine. And then our mutual friend, but mostly his, will be the officiant. I thought about having you, but you live farther away. Note that I only live 1.5 hours away. But you are invited to the reception. I try to get through the rest of the phone call without crying, and then she texts me after saying how great it was to talk to me and how it brightened her mood. Oh, that's sad. 2 months later, they get married, and she sends me a text with pictures from the wedding. People have no etiquette. I wasn't invited to, saying how she finally made an honest man out of her new husband. At this point, I basically just stopped initiating communication with her except to respond to her. And then I never got invited to the reception that was supposed to be a few months later. No idea if it even happened or not. Why? That's my only question. Why would she go through all this to let her know she wasn't invited to her wedding, and then to rub it in her face by sending her pictures about the wedding? Like, it's just like, what the heck? These are the comments, okay? Her abusive fiance knows you're a threat and has successfully manipulated her. Somebody replied back to this and said, my abusive ex was like this. He knew when friends saw through him and he hated her / tried to ban me from having her around. He manipulated me into staying friends after I left. She was the one who helped me pack my stuff and go, with threats of self-harm, then told me, if we get back together, you can't see friend anymore. I literally laughed in his face and finally, with some difficulty, extricated him from my life. Thank God I don't talk to that friend a ton anymore, just different life paths / very busy lives. But she's busy with a bunch of kids now, but I will always be so grateful to her. Okay, this makes sense. So this could be orchestrated by the abusive fiance, which makes me sad to think about and to hear that somebody is completely being manipulated like that. And at the same time, the person who gets manipulated is hurting everybody that's close to them in their lives. Like, it's a very hard situation to navigate. And there's not and a lot of people wouldn't know what to do in those situations. A lot of people are saying exactly the same thing happened to me last year. Yeah, my friend of 10 years cut me off when I finally pissed her husband off. After me, she only has one friend left. The rest are all his friends. Somebody said, I'm confused. You got increasingly nasty texts from her, but then you were excited when she called you because you actually wanted to be a bridesmaid? What? Why would you want to do this for someone who was being increasingly nasty to you? I don't understand. Very good question, actually. This horror story turned more like actual horror story for this person being manipulated. But anyways, let's read number 3. All right, story number 3. Am I the asshole for telling my sister that I don't want to be her maid of honor 4 months before the wedding? Ay, ay, ay. My 30 female half-sister, Tara, 22 female, and I have had a rocky relationship since she was a teen, but we were getting closer after she got pregnant over 2 years ago. When she got engaged, she asked me to be her maid of honor, and I was so excited to get to plan everything with her. My mother, 51 female, and I were trying to plan things with Tara through calls and texts, having Tara select a date, getting a venue picked out and booked, and filling out the save the dates. It's in our 4 months, and they still haven't gone out. But Tara kept procrastinating at every step. Our mother initially said she would only pay for Tara's dress, but since Tara and her fiance are in a single income household, Mom was essentially guilted into paying for almost everything. Our mom and Tara's fiance's mom are even going to try and cater the wedding themselves at this point. Aside from that, I was planning the bachelorette party. I asked for Tara's input, but was taking care of the planning myself, also including the bridesmaids to see what they thought. My stepsister, Tara's half-sister, Haley, 30 female, dismissed what I was planning to tell me Tara wanted something else. This was my first indication that they were making plans together without talking to me, but I included Haley's ideas into my plan. Since then, Tara's been getting more distant from me, preferring to make plans with Haley, including an amusement park trip the entire wedding party knew of that I learned about today. Jesus Christ. After learning that Haley's been involved in conversations with the groomsmen and Tara's friend coming in from out of town that I can't contact, I was finally getting fed up. Today, I reached out to Tara and asked if she still wanted me to be her maid of honor, since Haley seems to be who she wants to plan everything with. Tara told me she did want me to be the maid of honor, but then also confirmed my fears of being replaced by saying that Haley has been heavily involved in planning recently. I asked why I wasn't included in the planning conversations, and Tara lashed out at me over semantics. After listening to her refuse to address what I was saying, I started to tell her how I didn't want to be her maid of honor anymore. But she stopped me once I got that out, telling me that was all I needed to say before hanging up on me. Afterward, I called her mother and let her know what happened, but she turned it around on me, telling me that I was in the wrong. I really don't know where I stand now. So am I the asshole? Let's see what people are saying. OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the asshole. The action I took is telling my sister that I didn't want to be maid of honor anymore 4 months before her wedding. 2, I might be an asshole because I responded emotionally to feeling excluded and may have messed up her wedding plans. I feel like I could have just been silent and gone through the wedding without addressing my problems so last minute. My mother also seems to be on my sister's side. It sounds like it sounds like maid of honor means money on the house to her. Huh? Are you in a better financial situation than the other sister? I bet you are. You're not wrong to back out. She's incredibly disorganized and delinquent. Why is she planning amusement park trips and leaving you out when she hasn't even sent out a save the date? Sounds like they should have gone to the courthouse. They can't afford a wedding. Some parents pay for the wedding, but your mother feels forced to do this. That was never her plan. This is tricky because when you choose to step down as maid of honor, it really sends a message, right? It really does. Now, on the flip side, the bride should be treating her bridal party with respect too. So it's really hard. I think that because she tried to have a conversation with the bride once and it didn't go anywhere, I understand why she would want to step down. But maybe if I were in her shoes, I would try a second calm conversation. And if that still didn't work out, then maybe at that point it's worth stepping down. Because in any case, it just seemed like her other sister would have been a very good maid of honor too. And everybody might have been more happy or better off that way. Hard to say. Somebody else says in the comments, your sister is too immature to get married. Stop placating her and your mother. Screw them all and walk away from this dumpster fire childish wedding. A little, like, that's also challenging when you're talking to people who don't approach situations from a mature, respectful point of view. It happens to all of us. We all lose our temper once in a while. But if the person who lost their temper can't go back and say, like, look, I'm sorry, I lost my temper. Like, let's work this out. Then what are you supposed to do with that? You know, a lot of people are saying that it's about the money in the comments and that Tara needs her sister because she can basically help pay for this wedding. And that's why she didn't ask her to step down. But that's a pretty selfish reason to just keep your sister in your wedding. So would love to hear your thoughts on this story and what you would do in the maid of honors situation. All right, that is our show for today. If you have a crazy wedding horror story that you would like us to read here on the pod, please submit it to hello@weddingwednesdaypod.com and we'll read over all the submissions and share one of your stories on the next episode. Of course, please like, subscribe, comment, do all the things because it really helps the pod and we really appreciate it. And with that, we will see you in the next episode. Bye for now.